Good morning, people. Welcome back. I decided to do another video this week to try and catch up from all my weeks not doing anything. So today I'm going to cover fill modes and different things you can do basically to optimize your engraving time with Lightburn. Now, you can look at the Lightburn documentation and come up with the same information we'll give you, but I'm going to show you basically what happens in Lightburn. So let's switch over to Lightburn, and here we are. This is Lightburn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically show you how you can effectively engrave borders to optimize your time. Now, you may or may not want to use one or more of these, but this is what I come up with. So I'm using Lightburn 2.0.01. It's the latest version. Most of the settings that I'm going to show you were available in earlier versions of Lightburn as well. So first of all, I want to create a rectangle. I'm going to put it back on line mode. Okay. And it's going to zoom in here. Now, to make this interesting, if I was going to do a cutting board or a fancy sign, typically what I would do is I would change my corners. So I've done this in previous, but let's just go through my shape properties. And you can round them, so you can make them round. What I like to do sometimes is use a negative corner. Makes a nice little outline for a border. Okay, next I'm going to create a bunch of duplicates of this. So I'm going to go to my offset tool right over here, and I'm going to go inward one. Yeah, I don't need anything else. And I'm going to do this 2 more times. So there's one more. And to make it fancy, I'll do one more. So now I want to do is I want to make sure I'm on my pointer tool. There we go. I'm going to group each pair of offsets. Okay, and go back to, now this is line mode. Now typically if I want to make this fill, I go into fill mode, and there's my nice little border. You may or may not want to use double borders like this. Sometimes I find this kind of nice to use. But what I can do is, now I want to see how fast this is going to be. And 33 minutes just to do those borders. Now, if you had a lot of graphics or text images inside your sign or your cutting board, this might not be acceptable. So you can see it'll play, and I can walk through this play here. Just going to go through, and there's a lot of travel time. The laser head is moving back and forth. Okay, well, that didn't work very well. So then you can try. You can go in here, and oops, I should have set this at 4. It doesn't matter. Let's just check the time here. 33 minutes. Okay. You could try a different angle. So let's go -45 for a start. So you can see where the laser head is moving diagonally. And let's check the time for that one. 37 minutes. Well, that didn't help at all. Okay, so let's try one more. Let's go -90, which is up and down. And check the time for this one, and that's 40 minutes. So I'm getting worse. Okay, so that's not working. Sometimes you find by changing that engraving angle, scan angle, depending on what you're engraving, you can speed up your design. And I've used this several times. If I have some text that's vertical, then I will use a -90. If it's horizontal, I'll go back to 0. If it's an odd shape, I will change the angle. But let's go back and change this to 0. Okay, so that's one problem, is that scan angle didn't really change. In fact, it made things worse. So because we're on fill mode, if we go to the Advanced tab, there's a thing called Flood Fill. Now, Flood Fill doesn't work for all types of fill, graphics fill, but it's especially nice for borders. So I'm going to turn on my Flood Fill. I'm going to go OK. Now remember, we had 33 minutes with a standard fill. And if I go to my preview mode, I'm down to 19 minutes, almost in half. Now let's watch what this does. This is kind of cool. It does that. Oh, look at that. It just does the outline. Now remember, I have 2 sets of borders here. So let's see what this does. Here's the first one. And then it does the next one. So Flood Fill works great for borders. And, you know, I kind of like it. When I first started engraving, I didn't use it a lot, but you can see that I've cut my engraving time almost in half. Okay, so there's fill and flood fill. Okay, so one thing we can change to, and we can go to offset fill. Now, offset fill is this fill mode. This is from the Lightburn documentation. I know this is version 2, but it applies to multiple older versions as well. It's similar to fill mode, but instead of telling laser scan parallel lines, it etches lines all the way around the shape. And I've done this with an older laser, and it works really well. Haven't quite got the hack, used it much lately, because of the way my laser does lines. Okay, so let's go and look at offset fill. Now remember, flood fill gave us 19 minutes, and this one gives us 5 minutes and 17 seconds. So what does this do? Well, let's go into play mode, and it just does a series of lines. Now this works pretty good. If I zoom in here, you can see it. Those are all those parallel lines. Okay. Now when I go back to fill mode, and I'll make sure this is on flood fill, which it is, and I zoom in, you can see the same parallel lines, but it's and these you can change. For example, if I go, I have at point 1. If I go to 0.08 and go look at this, see the lines are a lot closer together, and it takes a little bit longer. And that setting, which is your line interval, will depend on your laser. Now my laser can do 0.08. But if I would do a border, I'll just go start back to 0.1. The other thing I didn't mention is this over scanning. Remember, I originally had it at 2.5%. And that was great for my old laser, which was, its max speed was like 2,500 millimeters per minute. The one I'm using now, I typically do my fills at 6,000. So this over scan at 4%, it's really good for fill, as the laser will move, turn off and move 4% off, left and right, or up and down, to give you a cleaner burn. Okay, so that's basically what we have here today is different fill modes. And basically I want you to experiment and test out what you can and can't do. So before I go too far, I just want to just pick a graphic. Let's just delete all this. I'm going to pick a graphic from my art library. Let's bring my big horn sheet in. Now, I'm going to go and change this back to standard fill. And when I look at that, takes 29 minutes, and that's pretty big, bighorn sheep image. I'm going to change this to flood fill. Advanced mode flood fill. Now remember, the other one was 29 minutes. It's now 35 minutes. So because this isn't a border, flood fill doesn't work very well. So I play with this. It tries to do all the little bits and pieces, floods them one at a time, and it just takes a little bit longer because the design is more complex. Whereas if I switch off flood fill and go to play, it just fills everything left and right, and lots of laser movement, but that's okay. So I hope you found this informative, and once again, all the features in Lightburn you want to keep experimenting before you actually send your design to the laser. Basically what you want to do is optimize your time. You want to optimize your laser time. If you are like me, or only have a single laser attached to my computer, you want to make sure that you don't want to spend 3 hours doing a job that you can do in about half the time. So take care, and I hope this all works for everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.